budget public hearing of the Prince George's County Board of Education. Ms. Jackson, call the roll, please. Mr. Armwood?
Present.
Ms. Beck? Present. Ms. Boston?
Present.
Mr. Barrows?
Present.
Ms. Eubanks? Ms. Jackson?
Present.
Ms. Johnson? Ms. Waller?
Present.
Ms. Higgins?
Present.
Ms. Jacobs?
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Eubanks is present.
Ms. Johnson is present.
Okay, I think everybody's here. Please turn off your wireless communications as they tend to interfere with the taping of the meeting. The Board of Education has convened this evening for the sole purpose of hearing public commentary on the fiscal 2013 proposed operating budget. With regard to our overview, the fiscal outlook as of January 9, 2012, $1.6 billion in spending plan reflects stable fiscal outlook, mainly reductions in central office and support areas. Reductions will not be as drastic this year as they have been in past years, according to the superintendent's proposed budget. The proposed budget includes $238,200 increase over last year's budget, which brings the total to $1.614 million. The budget includes $9 million investment in employee compensation, continued investments in programs such as middle college, secondary school reform, and expansion of grades for current charter schools. Our challenges with regard to this budget for FY 2013, we have a $44 million budget gap due to declining enrollment and rising costs in employee health. Employee health costs are at $14 million and retirement benefits at $2.2 million, and also fuel costs, which are at $1.3 million. We have a steady enrollment decline. Increase in high-need students, limited English proficiency, and farm students also presents a challenge. Our falling property values and federal funding. 4 priorities include funding student needs, innovation, fiscal stability, and supporting employees. Our budget goals: to keep reductions away from the classroom and instruction, set aside funding for employee pay raises depending on negotiations with bargaining units, address structural issues and realign systems, allow adequate investment in student needs, teaching, and learning, to build on our fiscal stability, to empower our school leaders to design unique instructional models that meet the student needs at their buildings, and also to promote transparency in funding decisions. We would also like to enable the central office to responsibly support schools in a culture of innovation. The new student-based budgeting system will provide schools with direct control over their budgets and limit reductions away from the classroom. For more information on the student-based budgeting and the budget in general, please visit our website at www.pgcps.org/budget. The Board of Education will hold 2 additional budget public hearings and 1 budget work session during the month of February as we deliberate for the fiscal year 2013 operating budget, which has been submitted and recommended by Superintendent Height. We've been informed this evening as well that on February 6th we may see some changes in the proposed budget based on what we've now heard from the Governor's office. Upcoming Board of Education fiscal year 2013 operating budget public hearings will be held February 16th and the 21st here at the Sasser Building, and both are scheduled at 7 p.m. Speakers registered to speak will be limited to 3 minutes. Final Board of Education budget work session will be held on February 21st here at the Sasser Building, and that will be at 5 p.m. Please also note the following additional budget meeting dates. On January 25th at 6:30, the Superintendent's Community Budget Forum will be held at Coral L. Rice Elementary School. On February 7th, 2012 at 6:30 p.m., a Community Budget Forum in Spanish will be held at Northwestern High School. On February 8th, 2012 at 6:30 p.m., a student budget meeting will be held at Charles Herbert Flowers High School. The Board of Education is scheduled to adopt its budget at the February 23, 2012 board meeting, and that will begin promptly at 7:05. The recommended budget will then be forwarded to our county executive, Mr. Rashawn Baker, who will then develop his proposed budget for the county and include the school's budget in that. He will then submit that to the County Council in March of 2012. The County Council must adopt the budget, which includes the school system's funding, designated by category, and then it goes to the state legislature in April 2012. The Board of Education will then reconcile with the county's approved budget in a plan, and is scheduled to do that before June 30th, so that will happen in a June 2012 meeting. That just gives you an overview of the timelines that we have under law to approve and reconcile the budget. Tonight, our Superintendent of Schools, Dr. William Height, We've actually received an overview. Are you going to give an additional one? Okay. We're going to, at this time, hear from our registered speakers. We have 3, and our first speaker, who is always faithful in addressing the board with regard to our budget, Tony, please come forward. And also, she'll probably get me, but I always have to mention the fact that she started the school system the year I was born, so it's just awesome. We thank you for your service, and although she retired last year, her service to the board and to the community is just is to be commended, and thank you again for your dedication to our system.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Tony Andolfato, a county resident, a member of the Comer-wide Steering Committee, and a retiree from the Prince George's County Public School System. Tonight, I am speaking as an individual on behalf of all the students in the Prince George's County Public School System. Thank you for locking in the 0.5 media specialists for all schools. It would have been nicer if it was 1.0. Hopefully, when the economy improves, this will be the goal. Also, thank you for permitting principals to purchase the other 0.5 position so that they can have full-time library media specialists. However, all schools that would like to take advantage of this opportunity can't because they don't have adequate funding to support all of their schools' needs. Once again, I am asking for funding for media. For years, I've been requesting a designated line item for media materials to ensure that all school media centers would get funding. I know that you are going to a student-based budget, and I wonder how funding for media materials will be handled. I believe this means that in each school, those in charge of the student-based budget will either give funds for media materials or they won't. In the schools where they don't, the materials will get older and not be replaced. How can students read the latest book about the wimpy kid, the latest Black-Eyed Susan nominees so that they can vote for their favorite book, or be introduced to new authors and characters? Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you, and as our next speaker comes forward, Ms. Linda Bradley, I have to correct that actually Tony started before I was born, not the year that I was born. Ms. Bradley.
Hi, good evening. My name is Linda Bradley, and I'm a media specialist at 3 elementary schools this year. Last year at this time, library media specialists were concerned about the cuts to our program. Fully 1/2 of the full-time positions were eliminated, leaving the majority of schools with a 0.4 position. We are pleased and grateful that you are increasing the 0.4 positions to 0.5 for next year and giving principals the option of purchasing the other half with student-based budgeting funds. However, our concern is that you are considering decreasing the current full-time high school positions to 0.5 also. COMAR, in the section on library programs, states that Maryland school systems will provide personnel who include certified school library media personnel with technical and clerical assistance at the school building level to organize and operate a school library media program. Even though this does not specify a full-time library media specialist, in order to implement the quality of a program described in the entire section on school libraries, which I've included here with my written copy that I'm handing in, it is evident that COMAR's intent must have been a full-time position in each school. Note that they specify technical and clerical assistance in addition to the certified library media personnel. Logically, we can infer that since we have no assistance, COMAR would recommend a full-time specialist as a best practice. This is especially crucial in high schools, some of which have over 2,000 students preparing to meet the challenges of college and the workplace. Nationwide, there is also much support for strong school library media programs. School Libraries Work is a research foundation report that brings together findings from studies in 19 states and Canada that cite the measurable impact that school libraries have on student achievement. The federal government also endorses and recognizes the importance of fully staffed school libraries in an article in the No Child Left Behind newsletter, as quoted in School Libraries Work, saying, "School library media centers contribute to improved student achievement by providing instructional materials aligned to the curriculum, by collaborating with teachers, etc. The state of Maryland has been recognized again for the 4th consecutive year as the #1 public education system in the country by Education Week newspaper. It is important to retain that status by funding vital programs that will ensure academic success for all students. We urge you to work towards reestablishing a full-time library media specialist at every school and retaining a full-time specialist in every high school for next year. Thanks for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Ms. Bradley. Karen Lewis? No? Colleagues, we had 3 registered speakers, and that concludes our public comment list for this evening. The next public hearing, did I read that? I just want to make sure. Oh, the next scheduled budget meeting, 125, which is this Wednesday at 6:30, will be the superintendent's community budget meeting, and that's forum, and that's at Cora Rice if anyone wants to attend that. Colleagues, that concludes our public hearing for this evening, and we stand adjourned.
Okay. Good evening again. My name is Miss Karen Lewis, and I'm the parent of a 9th grade student at Largo High School, and also a PTSA member, as well as other members here of the PTSA at Largo. We're here to express our concerns about the 2013 budget cuts and the devastating impact it will have on our students at Largo. When you consider the overall effect of such a budget cut, there is a trickling down effect, with ultimately our students feeling the greatest impact. The loss of so many teachers and other staff will undoubtedly increase classroom sizes already at high numbers, which will affect quality of instructions our students will receive. With such devastating cuts year after year, we fail to prepare a generation after generation student body that will graduate or not with an education that will prepare them for post-academic study and ultimately a competitive world they will embark upon to include students from other countries as well as private schools. Many of our AP classes at Largo will also be affected, an area of learning that will help prepare our students for such a world. It goes without saying that all of the above will add to the already low morale our teachers may be feeling due to no wage increase now for over 3 years, but are expected to carry added responsibilities year after year. We understand that funding is based on projected student enrollment, but we feel it is important to note that the closure of Glenarden Apartments may also increase Largo High School enrollment in the upcoming year as students transfer from Charles Flowers. We were informed that Largo High School recently received transfers from Charles Flowers. We are looking at 85 less students projected for the 2013 enrollment at Largo. That is not even 10%, and what a small number to lose so many teachers to. To do so does not compare with the quality of education our students will receive as a result of such cuts. With the likely maintenance of our current enrollment, an 85 student difference from this year to the next year will bring about such impacts as having to rehire staff after cutting them, leaving the burden of staff and administration to fix the fallout with the rehiring of teachers of which the principal has no say-so, the burden of schedule changes, moving students around, and ultimate upheaval. Prior to the beginning of this school year, I looked at each high school. As a parent and communicating with other parents of students entering high school, we scrambled to find a high school within PGCPS for our children to attend that will fulfill an education that will prepare them for a world that is competitive. We know high school is where the pedal meets the metal in determining college placement and entry to an ever-increasing competitive workforce. It is sad that many hasten to Roosevelt, I'm pretty much finished, high school, and why when Roosevelt is a PGCPS high school such as Largo. I looked at each high school and the majority is under school improvement. This is disheartening. Budget cuts will not make it any better. In closing, may I ask how many of you have had your children or have your children in public school? We recognize that cuts may be necessary, but we ask that you take another look at the impact and outcome such cuts will have on our students at Largo. that we hold true to our motto that children come first in PGCPS. Thank you for taking the time to listen.
Thank you, Ms. Lewis. Colleagues, that concludes our public comment for this evening. And Dr. Hyde, I'm just going to say that I know why we don't do back and forth, but I'm assuming that this is mainly based on the student-based budgets. So just to inform you that there were two put out, and so we won't really know what that's going to look like until after. We'll have a better idea of what that's going to look like school by school on February 6th. Thank you. That concludes our public hearing. We are adjourned.